Welcome to Bringing Jesus Back into Focus. I'm Christopher John Joseph. I was in the Jewish Christian Catholic Church, but I left when I was 16 because the Jewish religion worshipped two different gods. A brutal war god called Yahweh 1, a god of love and forgiveness and peace called Yahweh 2. They decided to call these two different gods instead of Mars and Pax like the Romans, Ares and Irene like the Greeks, or Sekhmet and Shu like the Egyptians. They said, let's call them by the same name. So they called the beautiful sort of loving Yahweh direction with the same God who was a brutal satanic murderer, as we see in Jericho, the slaughter at Jericho. Yahweh tells them to go down and slaughter everyone, steal everything. And they're trying to sell this as saying that's the same God. But sorry, the Jews are used car salesmen. I mean, I don't believe that for a minute. And by 16, I left the Catholic Jewish Christian Church because of that lie. I left because of the Jewish religion poisoning the Christian religion of Jesus. And the book of Revelation, rip it out and burn it. It's the most filthy, stinking bit of slander ever written about Jesus that I've ever read. And also the loving spiritual creator who's created our spiritual lives and bodies to have in heaven, which you have with us right now. Jesus said it, you've got it with you right now, but you've got to wake it up. Now, so these Jewish Christians are distorting, perverting what Jesus taught, and they have been for a long time. So I never bothered about it. I never bothered about why did that happen. I just took Jesus with me and left. Studied Buddhist teaching because he was a pacifist, as Jesus was, and I am. And so I just was only interested in the truth. I wasn't interested in lies, slandering Jesus. And there aren't any Christian churches that I know of in Australia. They're all Jewish Christian churches worshipping the two-headed God of the Jews. So, but they've got Jesus there, you see. So Jesus can connect them to the one loving spiritual creator, which is a different God. And many Jewish Christians, go to the heavenly spiritual world, but only because they look at Jesus. They don't care about the book of Revelations, and they don't care about the Jewish religion. They just see Jesus, and that leads them to heaven. He leads you to heaven. His words lead you to heaven. But unfortunately, many Jewish Christians are teaching the Jewish religion in the place of the Christian religion, and that's wrong. So I had to do the Gospels. I thought, well, I'm going to stand up for you. When I went to all these different denominations around Melbourne, I was shocked. They were synagogues. They weren't Christian at all. They weren't even talking about his words and how to become like him. Some of them said, no one can be like Jesus. I said, have you read his words? He says, you can be like me and even do greater things than I've done. He didn't say, no one can be like me. You're not allowed to be like me. He said, be like me. They were just totally confused and messed up and contradictory and entangled in the Jewish two-headed God of the Jews, Yahweh. So I've written the Gospels of Jesus Unplugged. It's a translation of the Gospels from the Greek interlinears and general Gospels and general Bible sort of thing. And you'll find it's much clearer, cleaner run through the Gospels because I'm a Christian. I'm not a Jewish Christian, so I'm not influenced by the Jewish religion at all. Jesus himself was influenced by the good Yahweh, who says, love your neighbour as yourself. But he rejected the satanic war god who said, go down to Jericho and kill everyone. He said, you're worshipping Satan, you're children of Satan. That's the war god he was talking about, that they were worshipping along with the God of love, the good prophets, that sort of stuff. He knew it was dualistic. So he tried to get them back out of the dualistic into the singularity, because any religion that's dualistic is in darkness, as he said so himself. Jesus taught we can all experience an inner spiritual awakening if we search for it. He called this the treasure hidden in the field of earth or flesh. This is our eternal spiritual identity, empowered only by the loving spiritual life force of our loving spiritual creator. Our bodies of flesh are only temporary and empowered by earthly things, and all flesh dies. Only a spiritual body and soul mind of love lives on to come into the presence of our loving creator, to reap as we have sown. So there is a clause there, to reap as we have sown. I mean, you can't imagine, the violent satanic murderers in these armies at the moment in the Middle East. They can't get into heaven, because what they're going to reap is death and suffering because of what they caused here on earth. Murder, slaughter, death and suffering of other children. That's what they'll experience after they die. And that's their doing. And Jesus and the loving creator don't create it either. They just simply give them back what they caused. They caused it. So you caused this. This is yours now. Boom. You made it. You made this. This is yours now. Experience it. See, when all these murderers, these mass satanic murderers in these armies, they're all armies of Satan. So the Israeli army is a satanic army, Ukraine army, Russian army, Hamas, they're all satanic. They think, oh, I just shot that boy over there, or that woman there, or that guy there, or bombed that house. Oh, look there, I blew their legs off. They think they got away with it. They think, I didn't feel any pain when I murdered that, blew their legs off. No, yeah. They think they got away with it. That's their delusion. That's their insanity. When their spirit leaves their body, that person's experience that they caused, the horror, the pain, the agony, the torture, the death, boom, they will experience it one way or another. I don't know how the loving Creator will orchestrate it for them to experience it, but they will. Jesus and Buddha taught this. You reap as you sow. And once you leave your body of flesh, it's too late. You will have to undergo, for example, all these satanic warmongers, every death you've caused. Well, Hamas killed 1,200 Jews, or thousands of 1,200. The Jews have killed 80 to 90,000 deaths. Russia's killed a similar amount. Putin. Ukraine have killed however many. They're all the deaths they're going to have to experience. That they caused them. I'm a follower of Jesus and I'm a pacifist. I don't do that. His teachings and spiritual way of love and non-violence can help awaken us all into a new spiritual life here on earth, leading us to the heavenly spiritual world of love after death. Jesus taught we all have two different bodies with us in one, and he said that the spiritual body, being eternal, is the most important to be healthy and well in spirit. So that's what it's all about. Keep your spirit well and healthy, and you'll be fine after you die. Whether you get shot by some satanic child or not, or die from a disease or a car accident or something suddenly. Either way, however it happens, your body of flesh dies and goes back to the earth. There's no life in it, it's dead. Jesus said so. Feed it to the vultures, he said. That's all it's worth. He said it's your spiritual body. Hang on to that. Protect your spiritual body with your life. He's talking about don't hurt anyone. With your physical life, don't hurt anyone. Don't cause evil. In other words, protect your spiritual life with your physical life by using your physical body and your beautiful spiritual mind to only love others. Protect your spiritual body and life with your physical body never hurting anyone. Speech or actions, don't hurt anyone. Rather, reach down and help lift people up. Be generous, give. So he knows what he's talking about. Mary and Martha. Oh, we've just finished that one. I think we're on to the next reading. Keep connected to heaven. Luke 11:5-8. Jesus said, which of you shall have a friend and go to him at midnight and say to him, friend, lend me 3 loaves, for a friend of mine has come to visit on his journey, and I have nothing to set before him. And he will answer from within, do not trouble me. The door is now shut, and my children are with me in bed, so I cannot rise and give to you. I say to you, though he will not rise and give to him because he is a friend, yet because of his persistence, he will rise and give him as many as he needs. It's a funny one, this one. It's a bit like saying, Lord Jesus, loving Creator, I really need your help. Look, I really need your help. Look, I really need your help. It's like, oh, blimey. Chris is dying of a fungal infection down there on earth. He keeps saying he needs our help. Oh, you'll never shut up. You'll never stop asking if we don't cure his body. It's sort of a bit like that. But of course, when we ask for anything from heaven, we only have to ask once. They know exactly what you need. We can ask and receive help from them in our spiritual life, and it can affect our physical life in a good way as well. They only love us, they don't hurt us. But here I think the main point about Jesus is stay connected. Keep talking to heaven, keep thinking about heaven, keep receiving the loving spiritual life force. Know that heaven's there. Know that heaven's got all that loving spiritual life force that you need to give to you. You just have to open up your spiritual mind of love to receive it. And if you need help, well, just ask them to hold on to you with their love from heaven, and they will. Stay connected. Author, our loving spiritual Creator answers our prayers, but not always in the way or time that we wish for. She sees more than us, and as long as we stay facing her in connection with her love, she will provide us with spiritual help for our life on earth. We only need ask once, but the material world and circumstances can delay or alter results. So we must always stay close to her in spirit. So I think the main point of that little dialogue of Jesus is never turn away from our loving spiritual creator or heaven. You're in need. Your need hasn't been met yet. Still believe in heaven. And the other part is remember you've got a spiritual body that leaves when you die. So no matter what our need is while we're here in the earth world in our bodies of flesh, which all die anyway, whether it's a healing or whatever, money or whatever you may need, it's all temporary. Everything here is temporary. The eternal spiritual world's a different dimension. You have a beautiful spiritual body like an angel that can't be hurt or die anymore. And maintain your love. Maintain your nexus or connection. Keep it open to heaven. Keep thinking of how beautiful heaven is, how beautiful the loving spiritual creator of Jesus is. Not Yahweh, right? Stop thinking about Yahweh. That's not the God of Jesus. This is a beautiful spiritual loving creator who's only love. And just stay connected and think of how beautiful she must be. And this incredible spiritual universe or spiritual world. And we've got a spiritual body with us right now that we can't see with our eyeballs of flesh, but we've got one. And as long as it's filled with love, even though we're in great need and great trouble now in the earth world of dirt, which is temporary, we're going to leave it anyway at some point in time. And if your spiritual body and life is clean, you will be in heaven and in no more pain or in no more need. So that's the main way to be persistent. Persistently remember heaven exists. It's real. But you only go there in your spiritual body, not your body of flesh. And your spiritual mind of your spiritual body is empowered only by love. So stay in the spiritual mind of love and you'll be connected to heaven always. Keep the word. Luke 11:27-28. And as Jesus was speaking, a certain woman from the crowd raised her voice and said to him, "Blessed is the womb that bore you and the breast that nursed you." But Jesus replied, "No, rather blessed are those who hear the word of our loving spiritual creator and keep it." 17 times he said, "My words will save you." 17 times. He even said in the Last Supper to the disciples, "You are already clean because of the words I have given you." He didn't say, "You'll be clean soon by my blood spilt on the cross." He didn't say that. He said, "You are already clean because of the words I gave you." It's his words that transform me. His words explain to me how to be a spiritual child in heaven now, because he knows what it's like in heaven. That's why his words are so important. Material wealth versus spiritual wealth, providing you got the right words and not the Jewish overlays and poisonings and distortions. Then you'll be confused. Luke 12:13-21. One from the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." But he replied to him, "Man, who made me a judge or partitioner over you?" And he said to them, "Take heed and be on guard against avarice and greed, for one's true life does not consist in the abundance of the material things he possesses." Then he told them a parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, "What shall I do, since I have no room to store my crops?" So he said, "I'll pull down my barns, build greater ones, and there I will store up all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, Soul, you have many goods laid up for many years now. Take it easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But our loving spiritual creator said to him, "Mindless one, this night you will die, and your soul will be called. Then whose will those things be which you have stored up?" This is the one who lays up material treasures for his temporary physical life, but is not spiritually enriched by using the loving spiritual life force of his spirit to produce eternal spiritual fruits of heaven. Get ready to go to heaven by being spiritual now, rather than just indulge yourself because, you're pretty wealthy now. You have a break from being spiritual. Buy a Ferrari, buy a mansion, fly around the world, have caviar every day. I'll have a break from being spiritual. A lot of poor people there, I've got a lot of money now. I'll just indulge myself in that for a while. I'm dead. Too late. You should have shared that wealth, Author. Jesus again directs us to become primarily spiritual children filled with the loving spiritual life force of our loving spiritual creator. When we pass through our death experience, only our spiritual body and soul leave. to hopefully enter the heavenly spiritual world. Being rich in spirit is all that matters at that important time. The spirit of love. If you're full of love now, you're on the way to heaven. Stay in there, hang in there. Don't give up, fight to the end. Keep loving until you die. And then hopefully I'll see you on the other side. Faithful servant, Luke 12:35-38. Jesus said, "Be always ready with your lamps burning, and be like men who wait to join their master after his wedding, so that when he calls you may open your door and go to him immediately. Blessed are those servants who are watching out for him when he calls. Truly I say to you, he will be ready to receive them and have them sit down to eat with him and serve them himself. He may call you to come in the second watch or the third watch, and blessed are those ready and waiting to hear his call." You don't know when you're going to die. Jesus is saying, get ready. And also, Jesus reminds us that we will all pass through our death experience at some time unknown to us. Therefore, he tells us to always keep our spiritual light of love burning brightly. Keep your lamps burning. So we are ready to die to the flesh and be called into the heavenly spiritual world in our living spiritual body, where he now is with our loving spiritual creator, and he will be there to greet us home. It's all about the spirit filled with love now, and you'll be okay after your body of flesh dies and you pass through the what can be a very extremely painful experience. The death experience can be extremely harrowing and extremely painful and disorienting. But prior to that experience happening and having to move through the experience of all the chemical pain and suffering that the body can cause, the death experience, it does stop as soon as this piece of meat in the middle of this chest here stops moving. Then the brain shuts down and it can no longer produce any pain or suffering. The chemicals, nothing works anymore. So your physical body cannot give you any pleasurable experiences or torturous, painful, agonizing death experiences. It's finished. It's dead. There's nothing in it. It's empty. Then your spiritual body leaves it. It just gets out of it. Just like that. It's automatic. And so, of course, always, Jesus says, be ready. Be living a good life. Love us. Live out of your spiritual mind, which is going to be in your spiritual body when you leave. Your brain mind stays back there and rots, and it's just worm food. This brain organ, the worms will be eating that. But your spiritual mind will go with you. How alive, how clean, how beautiful is your spiritual mind? That's what Jesus is asking us. Because the more filled it is with love and light, you will enter heaven. But it really does have to be only love and light, singular. That's why he kept saying, he who is at one will enter. At one with the love. Only you can enter. If you're divided between your love and hate, you can't enter. You're in darkness. You're doing, there's a dark force in your life. Beautiful. And he'll be there to greet you, because he's not coming back. He said, come here. It's much better here. Hop on the next train. Luke 13:6-9, if only it was that easy. Barren fig tree. The death experience is a tough one. I mean, I'm in agony every day now with this fungal infection, and I nearly die every day. But this work I do for him and the loving spiritual creator in heaven, even though it's very ordinary, I'm just a simple follower. But I love him, so I can talk about him quite easily. And I'm not poisoned by the Jewish religion or the book of Revelation. I didn't realise how rare that was. I'm a bit of a rare Christian. I had no idea. I thought I was just an ordinary Christian. Jesus spoke, and I'm a simple Christian, but yeah. Jesus spoke this parable, barren fig tree. A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came seeking fruit on it and found none. Then he said to the keeper of his vineyard, look, for 3 years I have come seeking fruit on this fig tree and find none. Cut it down, for it is a waste of ground. But he answered, Sir, let it be for this year, and also until I dig around it and fertilize it with manure. Then if it bears fruit, all will be well. But if not, after that you can cut it down. Author. For things to grow, they need nourishment. Our spirits grow through receiving the spiritual words that help awaken our spiritual body and soul mind of love, which are then further nourished by the loving spiritual life force from the heavenly spiritual world of our loving Creator that we connect to through our spiritual minds and bodies. But we do need the nourishment of the spiritual teachings in us, in our minds, our spiritual mind. We need the nourishment of the words to awaken us and help us be strong in spirit. They strengthen us. They strengthen your spiritual body. They strengthen your spirit. Jesus' words strengthen your spiritual mind. And you grow in spirit. You're nourished by his words. This tree might be someone who never heard his words, sort of thing. You know what I mean? I've never heard anything about spirituality. What's that? I don't bear any fruit. I don't bear any spiritual fruit. What's that? This gardener, like Jesus, spreads some manure around the tree, right? So Jesus gives the tree some words, and the words help the tree bear fruit. The manure. See, manure is a nourishment, of course. His words nourish our souls. Man shall not live by bread alone, by every word that comes out of the loving spiritual life force of our loving Creator. You need spiritual words to awaken you to who you are as a spiritual child to go to heaven. That's the nourishment. This tree didn't have any of those spiritual words by the looks of it, and it wasn't bearing any spiritual fruit. Be humble. Luke 14:7-14. Jesus noticed that those invited to a dinner chose the best places first. He then said to them, "When you are invited by anyone to a feast, do not sit down in the best place, for one more honourable than you may also have been invited. And the host may come to you and say, 'Give up your place to this man,' and then in embarrassment you take a lower place. But instead, when you are invited, go and sit down in the lowest place. And then if the host comes to you, he may invite you to sit in a higher place. Then you will be honoured in the presence of those who sit at table with you. For whoever exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted." And he continued, "When you give a dinner or supper, do not ask your friends, your brothers, your relatives, nor rich neighbours who may invite you back, and you will be repaid. But when you give a feast, invite the poor, the lame, the maimed, the lame, and the blind, and you will be blessed, because they cannot repay you. But you shall receive your blessing when you rise in spirit from your body of flesh." And that's what it's all about. The more love you generate here, the more love when you enter heaven, the more powerful the love is that you receive. It's just love. Make love here, what do you get there? Love. Make war and death and murder here, and suffering and evil things like that, what are you going to get? Suffering. Author, but they don't do it to you. We reap as we sow. It's a spiritual sort of perfect judgment. You can't get better justice than that. You can't get more perfect justice. Well, you created this, so you have to experience it now. You can't get anything greater than that. Some Jewish Christians would say, oh yeah, well, God's going to do it to them. I say, no. The loving spiritual Creator does not do that to them. They did that to another child, blew their legs off in the war, and the child bled to death and died screaming. They did that to the child. What the loving Creator does is transfer the experience of a beautiful little child they murdered into their minds. And they experience the death of the little child they murdered. That's what she can do. The loving Creator can do that. And they will experience that child's memory of dying. The agony, the torture, the screaming, the fear. That will be theirs. That will be them. They will be that little child whose legs were blown off. They will be that little child. They will undergo that experience. That's what hell is. And for these mass murderers, these satanic armies now that are roaming up in the Middle East, around the world, we've got to fight against this. We've got to start a pacifist movement in the world. We really have to. Don't have anything to do with armies or the military in any way at all, unless you want to be a doctor or a nurse. So anyway, so in heaven you'll receive love if you love here. Those who are lowly and humble treat all others with respect and are happy to remain a simple child of our loving spiritual Creator. They are content within themselves, have loving equanimity towards all, and need no special recognition or special treatment. whereas arrogant and egotistical children need to feel superior and more important, so they look down on others, treating them as being inferior, less deserving, and demand privileged treatment. They do not realize our loving spiritual Creator loves all her children with the same love, and we are all equally important and valuable in her eyes. Those with their feet on the ground, who are level with all other children, are stable and cannot fall, but those who live in high ivory towers of arrogance above other children will one day fall and come back down to earth. Jesus inspires us as spiritual children to care for those who cannot easily care for themselves, or repay us in any way for the care and love we give to them. The love we give to these special children of our loving Creator who are in need will be waiting in the heavenly spiritual world for us to receive back from our loving Creator after our body of flesh dies. Buddha and Jesus taught everyone reaps what they sow. It's a universal law. That's a spiritual law. This is what you created. Here it is. It's yours. Sorry. This is really bad. But you did this. This is really good. This is yours now. Oh, all this love. Thank you. Well, you created it. Letting go to follow Jesus. Luke 14:25-33. Jesus spoke to those following him, for anyone wishing to be my disciple, they must love their father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, and even their own life, less than my spiritual way. And whoever does not carry the cross of their body of flesh and follow me in spirit cannot be my disciple. For which of you intending to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, and whether he has enough to finish it? For if he has laid the foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it will mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going to make war against another king does not sit down first and consider whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes against him with 20,000? Or while the other is still a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks for conditions of peace. So likewise, whoever of you cannot let go of all that he possesses cannot be my disciple. So Jesus is saying, look, being spiritual is a big commitment. You've got to become transformed into your spiritual identity. And the loving spiritual Creator will empower you then to love everyone the same. It won't be biased love or biological love anymore. It'll be way above that. But you still love your family. Author, full spiritual commitment would make us a full-time shepherd like Jesus, teaching the spiritual truths of life about heaven and how to prepare to enter the heavenly spiritual world after we pass through our death experience. These are the leaders of spiritual congregations, supported by the congregation for all their material needs, just as Jesus and the disciples were. But we can all be shepherd disciples to some degree, within our own family, circle of friends, neighbours, workmates, or even with the homeless children on the streets. As long as we are committed to living a spiritual life of love and non-violence, guided by the way that Jesus taught, we are all his disciples. Our spiritual commitment to the way of love provides us with the ability to prioritise the important spiritual practices we must do in our life over the mundane, less important material things. So the commitment is a personal one. Obviously we earn a living, pay bills, everyone's busy, but we should do everything with honesty and care and love. And then even our daily activities become a practice of spiritual love, spiritual honesty, generosity, understanding, forgiveness. So even our daily routines, our work, our home environment, we can be understanding, forgiving, compromising. We're constantly moving with our spiritual mind to find peace in our situation with other children, how to love other children, bring help to them, or enjoy love with them. The lost coin. Luke 15:8-10. Jesus said, what woman, having 10 silver coins, if she loses one coin, does not light a lamp, sweep the house, and search carefully until she finds it? And when she has found it, she calls her friends and neighbours together, saying, rejoice with me, for I have found the piece that was lost. Likewise, I say to you, there is joy in the presence of the angels of our loving Creator over one sinner who changes their ways. Our loving spiritual Creator can never hurt or condemn us. She never gives up on us and always sees us as our true spiritual identity. Even if we move out of our true spiritual identity and wander into becoming a false shadow identity and commit evil, we can always change back and ask her to forgive us. And with great joy, she pours her loving life force back into our spiritual body and soul, for we are her children. But the spiritual law of reaping as we sow is always in existence, and we can create our own hell if we are not careful. She does not do it to us. We do it to ourselves. I'll leave it there on this one, and we'll move on to the next bit in the next bit. We're in Luke, and we'll move through that. I love talking about his words, but as I say, because I'm just a Christian and a pacifist Christian, I'm not a Jewish Christian, and I've never been poisoned by the Jewish religion or the two-headed God Yahweh at all, and I reject the book of Revelation outright, and not only reject it, but I say that is poisoning and slandering Jesus and the loving creator of Jesus. That is a slanderous, evil, satanic book. That's what I say. That's because I know Jesus, so I can say it. And I'm a Christian, so I'm allowed to say it. The Jewish Christians like to look at that book, but they're Jewish. They're worshipping Yahweh, the two-headed God of the Jews. I don't worship the two-headed God of the Jews. So that's my story anyway. But the thing is, you're going to get a fresher understanding of Jesus through what I believe, and others believe this, not just me, but we're only a minority of true Christians in the world who aren't Jewish and Christian. Jewish Christians. We don't worship Yahweh, etc., because there's two Yahwehs there, so there's a big problem just straight away with the name Yahweh. If they had a Yahweh, and that was the loving God, and they had a stinking war god called Black Bart, then of course we could go, oh, we don't worship Black Bart, we worship Yahweh, the loving God, in the Jewish religion. But they didn't do that, you see, they called them both Yahweh. So you can't even refer to the Jewish religion. It's just too schizophrenic and deceitful. You have to stay with Jesus and the one loving creator, because he knows the way to heaven. And Buddha too. They both said, clean your mind out of all the dirt in it, otherwise you will not know who you are. Who am I? You are a spiritual child of the loving spiritual creator on earth, born out of the earth to bring her love to children in need and help guide them home to heaven, as Jesus has guided us, by becoming a living spiritual child of love and non-violence right now, before you're going to enter the heavenly spiritual world of love and non-violence, where you will be happy forever, after your body of flesh dies, rots and stinks, and goes back into the earth from which it was formed. It does not rise again from the dead. Do not believe the Jewish Christians. They're lying to you. They don't read his words. They don't follow his words. They don't understand his words. So I believe what Jesus taught. We have two bodies. One's going to leave at death. Get it ready to leave. Get into it. Make it your primary body here on earth. That's what he's saying. Live out of your spiritual mind of love now, as Buddha and he did. They became enlightened to who they really are, a child of love. The word Buddha means the enlightened one, the awakened. He woke up to who he really was. Jesus is the same. He woke up. I've got a mind that has no evil in it. Wow. Oh, there's another world where no one's evil. Oh, wow. It's another dimension. Oh, wow. Oh, I've got this loving life force. I can feel it in my spiritual body. I've got this opening to heaven, this other dimension. Wow. I can even heal children's sick bodies of dirt. It's so powerful, this love. That's what we have to bring back, Christians. True Christians and followers of Jesus. If you're out there, please contact me here. jcinfocus@gmail.com. If you believe anything like I believe at all, contact me. I'll put it up again, jcinfocus@gmail.com, and I'll reply to you. And if you hear what I'm saying, and you're a Jewish Christian, you're a hard-line Jewish Christian who only worships Yahweh and the war god of Yahweh, and you believe Jesus is coming on the clouds, well, email me and criticize me. But explain why you believe that. Give me a reason why you explain that, and give me a reason why you understand it to be true, but only based on Jesus. If you base it on the Jewish religion, well, that's useless. That's a war god. You've got to, if you're a follower of Jesus, if you say you're a Christian, explain to me, if you want to criticize what I'm saying, explain to me why it's so wrong, only based on Jesus' words. I've told everyone that the apocalypse words placed, particularly in Matthew, are lies. They've been put onto Jesus. Children might try to use that. Oh, Jesus said that. I said, no, he didn't. He did not say that. That's been put in there to lead you to the book of Revelation, to destroy and assassinate who he really was. It's like an undercover agent, like an apocalyptic Jew undercover agent. Very clever. But it's not Jesus coming on the clouds to cause starvation, murder, wars. Okay. Love your way to heaven. And yes, I'd love to hear from anyone, even a Jewish Christian, who might be interested in my viewpoints. You might be thinking about this yourself. Gee, I've thought about that, but I've never heard anyone explain it like this guy in Australia, this gardener. He seems to really sort of believe this stuff. Jesus is only love and non-violence. He's a pacifist. He won't join the army or navy if Australia's attacked. He believes in heaven. He believes we've got a spiritual body that goes after you die. Geez, he's sort of very spiritual, but he's like, wow. And what he says sounds pretty sort of logical, really. I hope so. Love your way to heaven. Hate your way to hell. The choice is yours. You haven't got much time. You've only got so many heartbeats left. Choose to go to heaven. Use all your heartbeats to love others before the heart stops beating. That's the body of flesh. Feed it to the vultures when it's dead, Jesus said. You're leaving in your spiritual body. How full of love is it? Bye for now.